What's up, YouTube? No More Off. We're here with another quick do-it-yourself video. I was reconditioning this knife and got to the point where I was going to make my own handle for it. Thought about a couple different ways to do it. Decided to use a form of rope tying. It's just whipping, common whipping as it's sometimes referred to, which is usually just used to secure the end of a line from fraying. But you can also use the technique to make a handle for a knife. And I was doing that reconditioned video. I wanted to do this separate because I figured there would be people that just wanted to see this technique and didn't want to watch the long video of how I went through the steps to recondition this knife. So you can watch that video if you want to see why I chose to use this particular style of handle or method. But let's get into it. I'm going to show you how to make a knife handle using 550 cord, paracord. You can use other things as well, but that's a good choice, readily available. So, first step is going to be getting the knife ready to go. You can use tape. You can use a lot of different things to cover the business end of the blade. Just want to make sure you've got something on there so that you can squeeze it relatively hard without worrying about cutting yourself on the business end. You want to get your paracord ready to go, burn off any ends. You only need to have one live end so far. The length is obviously going to be proportional to how long you're making the handle. I probably won't even use 1.5 feet for this little length, depending on how neat I can get it to be. So you know, kind of learn that from experience. But the first step, just slide this piece along the back. And we're going to start on this side. You want to get that flush on the bottom as close to whatever existing anchor point you have. And for this first one, I'm going to hold it through the back just to get a tight pull. And you're going to want to start looping it over. Now you want to get these loops as close as possible to the previous one. So for the first couple, I'll pull them over and kind of pull them back a little bit. And just repeat the process. Making sure each time that I've pulled it over as tight and as clean as possible. So continue down about halfway along where the handle is going to be, and then you're going to take this live end, fold it back over itself, and just leaving almost like a bite as if you were tying a knot. And then you're going to continue wrapping over that open loop until you get down to the bottom. Now when you've got to the end and it's wrapped as tightly as you can possibly get it, you're going to want to cut off an end. You don't have to burn it yet. Make sure that end piece is as tight as possible. Then you're going to just pull that right through the loop or the bite. Then the next thing you do is pull down on this remaining strand, and that's going to pull that piece under in, secure it down, give that a good pull, and it'll pull that loop through while still holding this loose end. Now one thing you want to keep in mind, the further you can pull this down, the further you're pulling that loop that was here down, which means the more contact that has holding this underneath the strands. So that's good, you want that. Next step from here, you're going to cut these two pieces as best you can. And let's try to get underneath it. Hopefully you have a better pair of scissors than these ones that I just pulled out of the drawer here. So clean that up a little bit. You can see what we've got there. Now the next part is going to be to burn them clean. Now you don't want to get too overzealous here, but you want to get the job done. And don't fuss with it too much before you try to burn it. I don't like to put it directly under the flame right off the bat. Just kind of hit it, get it warmed up. There you go. Now same thing on the other end here, and we have to be careful because we've got the existing, the remainder of the old sheath there, or the old handle I should say. It's okay if you melt the existing ropes because all you're going to do is add a little bit extra binding between that and the end here. Use your finger to tell when it's hardened, and that's when you know you're good to go. So that's it. Real quick handle. Doesn't look too bad, pretty uniform. Couple things to keep in mind. Obviously, if any of these ropes does ever get, or any of these wraps do ever get damaged, or they start to fray, or they get cut, this will unravel pretty quickly. But it's also a very simple wrap, easy to do, very few tools required. Basically, if you've got another knife or something sharp that you can cut the rope with, some fire and some paracord, you're ready to go. A couple other things. You really don't want to loop over existing cord on the same wrap. If I wanted to put a second layer on this, which I could, I would do two individual wraps. So I would do this one, and then I'd get a new piece, and I'd start over again. That underlying piece can be a little bit slippery depending on what kind of nylon you're working with over top of the paracord. That's just something you have to experiment with. Also, you want to be sure that you get this end as close and as flush to the side as I mentioned before. You can see here that this does have a slight angle, and that mainly was because I was working with uneven sides. This side on the bottom is a little bit longer than it is on the top. That's the reason I started on the shorter side, but you just have to be cautious of things like that. But all in all, very quick and easy way to put a better handle on a knife if you don't like it, or you can cover it over your existing one just to make it better. That's it for me, guys. That was a quick video on how to make a new handle for a knife using 550 paracord. As always, stay safe. I'm out.